Hey, what's going on? Thanks for coming by. It's a boring video. I've just got an update for the software. After sitting on Google Play for whatever and having worked on it, I thought it was sort of stable and ready, but actually I had a major problem with it. The statistics from my Google Play indicate that it hasn't crashed on really too many people. But it may have crashed on you, and if you had that special edition, because I have no way of tracking that. And what was happening is, I'm not going to demonstrate it because this is, if you notice, I don't have that. There's no more menu at the bottom here. I took that out. It wasn't that was causing the problem. What was happening, I had a memory problem. I'm going to make a more detailed video on my other channel about it because it's kind of something that I missed, and it's like one of those things. So let me just really quick just explain what was happening with the original app. Oh, by the way, sorry. By the way, this is 1.0.0.32. I almost moved this over to 1.0.2.0 because of the changes that I made to it. But I'm going to leave that off the table for right now. I'm just not going to worry about all that spectacular stuff, and I'm kind of have superstitions about cursing myself, like, oh, I'm so special I can advance. I mean, I have to advance the version because I have to keep track, right? But basically, inside of your Android, and really any kind of whatever computer, you have all different apps, right? App 1, 2, this is just sort of abstract thinking about it. And it's kind of like a neighborhood, right? And without streets, and everybody has a yard, and you have an app, and your app occupies a certain amount of space inside of here. There's no reason I put it down at the corner. It could have been anywhere. But basically what happens is you're allotted a maximum amount of resources, memory and other things, but primarily memory. But you're allotted a limit. You can't take over the entire Android application. And actually what's interesting is Windows has moved more towards this model than Android has moved towards the Windows kind of model, because you're encapsulating the applications in a what do they call, a virtual machine, or anyway, I don't want to get too technical, but basically what's happening is every time you open up any kind of menu or any new page on my application, it's like, oh, I need some more memory. I need some more memory. And you know what? It never gets rid of the old page. So you got all these like sort of garbaged pages that you don't see, and they're just piling up. And I think if you open and close the app, I don't know, 30 times, not the app. Well, yeah, if you open and close the app, that helps. Something happens, because when you put it to sleep, if you completely close the app, you're good. And that's like what I do. When I'm operating with my Android, I typically hit this button on the left and like close everything, right? There's this close all. So that's how I handle. So I wasn't seeing the problem, and I never did a memory analysis. But what happens is this will reach a point where the Android system is like, alert, right? And it's like, no, you're done. You are freaking finished. And then you get this message, that the app has stopped, and you have no explanation or anything. And it's just, and if you restart it, it'll run fine. Run fine for a while. And it'll run pretty good up to this point. There will be some degradation in the communications. So this was what was going on. When I realized this, because I saw it crash on me like a couple months ago, just out of nowhere. And it looks like a random crash when you're operating, because it's kind of operates okay. And then all of a sudden it just crashes. And it doesn't matter. It could be, you could be reading data off of, okay, we're done with looking. You get the point. You could be reading data off of, your OBD2, or you could be getting codes, or it might just be sitting there. So now we have version 1.0.0.32. I'm not going to get into why I removed the menu system, but it was part of resolving this problem. And, the menu stuff at the bottom. And it was kind of annoying because in the app prior to this version, if you kept hitting the back button, it would take you out of the app, But basically I don't know if you saw that, but if you hit the back button on my app now, what it'll do is it'll remind you of, hey, grab the dongle, because I have like a couple other scanners, right? Like legit scanners. And they say, like, one of them is like, it beeps at you and says, hey, don't forget your your dongle because it's all proprietary. And I never forget that dongle in anybody's car. But this application, I'm constantly leaving the dongle in wherever my brother's car, all these people that I'm experimenting with. So I decided what I'll do is now when you try to get out of the application, what we did is we saw the sign, so now it let me out. So let me show you how that works. So you're in the application, you're like, oh, let me get out of here, and then it'll ask you, and you can hit OK, or you could just tap the screen. And then now the second time when I go out, it'll let me out, right? But it'll just on the way. And what like if I hit that and then I don't leave the app, all I have to do is go to any page, and then that'll reset. So that'll it's just a reminder. Really, maybe the whole app should just let me just reset that, right? So ideally the whole app when I hit OK would just go away. I have to work on that. It's not horrible the way it is, right? You can just sort of continue on, or you can get out. So it's not just insane. So in my mind it's sort of acceptable that way until what I have to do is more technical stuff about closing the application from inside of it. Anyway, so that was one thing I changed. Obviously, the look is a little different, but pretty much everything's the same. Oh, I added metrics. I don't have this hooked up to... Oh, actually, I think I do have a car hooked up. Let me see. I forgot. I think my truck... It is. Okay, so I do have a car hooked up outside. Okay, great. So one of the things I did was... in live data, I added, first of all, I know I'm all over the place, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. Life is hard, and my mind is, you know what it is. All right. Anyway, here we go. So now you can actually say metric. This is not the only place in the app, by the way, to set. Maybe this isn't the ideal. Maybe one should say metric and the other should say English. But if it's not metric, then it's English. Right? See, it says English. And if it's metric, then it's metric, right? So, okay, so let's say it's set to metric, and then later on when I'm looking at it, I want to switch it. That's easy. So, so I come into my live data, which really is where the, let me see. By the vehicle status, that will now update. Now you'll either see miles or kilometers, and I apologize to all of our friends who are used to looking at Celsius and kilometers. Man, it's pretty very very American, right? To just sort of be here's a Fahrenheit for you. So I tried not to annoy you, and there's no sort of preference. I think it has to default to one or the other when you first install the app, but after that there's really no preference. Actually, you see it's sort of preference to metric, right? Anyway, so there's your kilometers, and you can tell I was doing experiments in my truck, and I reset, and anyway. Okay, so the live data where we can see the I see it I'm a terrible driver, right? Constantly hitting the brakes while I'm talking. So let's just get a temperature out here. The truck was running for a minute, so that's it. Oh no, there's not going to be any value. Our air temperature, we should get a value for it, right? Fuel level. No, these aren't metric. You have to have your metric percentages, right? Your English percentages. Distances. There we go. Where's the distances? Isn't there a distance since reset? There has to be, because I saw it right on the other side. Where am I missing? They're not even near each other. Wait. I'm not. There is a distance. Since DTC's cleared, right? Warm. I don't know what's wrong with me. I probably don't want to know what's wrong with me. Okay, so let's start this up. Okay, so you see it's set to metric, but it's nice because on the fly, this never disables. You can just change this on the fly. And one of the reasons is where's the mass airflow? I didn't. Most of the time, I don't think it matters whether you're, if you're American, you're still wanting to look at the mass airflow in terms of grams per second, which is a metric measurement, right? I mean, we're probably a lot of Americans think that's English. Anyway, so warm up since DTC's cleared. You see what's going on with this car over here, right? 4 miles, 7 kilometers. There's my temperatures and my mass airflow. Where is that? Oh, is pounds per minute. This is according to the OBD2 spec, so this is not something I just decided on. This is that or grams per second. So when you're running the car, you can just sort of switch, and you don't have to go to some other screen and change. And this is reading right now. Oh, yeah, you can't see the little blinky light. Sorry about that. So, the other thing is like the app before any version before this 1.0.0.32, the indicator that the memory's getting full is this blinking light will pause for like like every 5 seconds, and then after you move around, and you have to move around. Like you could do this all day and it won't fill the memory. What fills the memory is just like going, from this page to that page and to this page. Okay, so you get the deal on the metric thing, the metric versus. I think that was kind of important. I don't want to. It's almost insulting, to not have both of those on there, because some people are just in their mind when it's warm out, they're like, oh, it must be like 30 plus, or or as an American would say, oh, it's got to be 90 degrees. I don't know, whatever. I just wanted to get that right, and it's like such a fundamental thing, right? Now the user PIDs, there's no metric or right. This is your calculation, whatever you put in here. Oh, the other thing is I changed how you select this, right? It used to be the first check mark. It was awful. It was awful the way this was. It was like the first check mark would be the detail, and then so you'd come in and it would be, and then after you were done doing whatever, you come back, all your checks would be gone, right? So if you were trying to read stuff off the car, and then you wanted to make an alteration, and you had your checks, and like let's say I just wanted to tweak out this value here. And I came in and I edited it or whatever, and then and then I got out of here, and now the checks stay. And you can select a different item, right? And you can see the item you're selecting. It's like makes sense. It was so awful before. And the other nice thing is now, like say I come into engine coolant and I want to make a copy of it, right? And then I say done. Two things. It'll keep the original name. Like the other one was like new copy without even knowing the copy of what. So it'll keep the and then add an integer, a number, and then it will scroll down to the bottom. Notice, even if I add one, now it'll just done. It'll just push you down to the bottom. All right, I'm not watching the camera so much. Anyways, these were pretty freaking annoying, I think, as a user. And what's the app about? The app is about the user, right? It's really, that's what the app is for. It's to make things easy for us as humans. So that was awful. So this is, and also when you come back, so these check marks will retain the entire, so you can come out of here and you can navigate around and you can come over here and grab your status, or you can read your DTCs again and do this. And this makes sense. Now I clear these when you come back into the screen because I don't want any stale DTC data, but this live data, your selections, there's no reason to clear them, right? So I leave them set until you exit the app and you come back and they're all reset. But so there's like some subtle differences I made just to make it easier for us to operate this thing. Of course, here I can't keep the selections because it doesn't even know what PIDs it's going to get, right? It's reading the PIDs out of the car, so I can't really sort of remember these selections. But it will remember them, if you come in and out of them. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. The fuel system status. What's going on here? Okay. I'm out in the driveway, the old sad tale of woe about my car being out in the driveway 30 feet away or something. So let's try this again. Right. Now here's the other thing. The fuel system 1 status I had all messed up. In the flash, the freeze frames. Flash. Why am I saying? Anyway. Freeze frames, flash, fast, In the freeze frames, I had this wrong. And also in this, I had this wrong. So this should be right now, the fuel ones, and like in Toyotas where you have 2 fuels. Did you know you can have, like, this is a Ford, this has 2 banks. Check this out, right? Think about this. This is, and you guys who are mechanics know this. This is a Ford. It has 2 banks. There's bank 1 and 2, fuel trim, which of course it's asleep. It's just on. It's not running. But it has 1 fuel system. So when the fuel system goes open loop or closed loop, the whole all four oxygen sensors, right? The up and downstream for each bank go into closed loop mode when the system goes into closed loop, right? But I noticed on my Toyota, on my girlfriend's Lexus, which is basically, it's an ES350, so it's a Camry V6. It has two fuel systems. And I read in the documentation that the fuel systems don't necessarily correlate to the banks. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you have two fuel systems, that one is for one bank and one is for the other. But there was like some kind of caveat that that's not necessarily the case. Anyway, the two cars, my Chevy and my Ford, they have one fuel system and they're either closed loop or open loop. My girlfriend's car, which I think I'm going to make a video on it, I changed the oxygen sensor on bank one. Here's a tip. Know which bank is bank one? Well, you're supposed to think, right, it's usually on the left side where the first cylinder is, usually on the left side, right side, sorry. And I'm an idiot. I was an idiot, so I was chasing around an easy problem to fix with her oxygen sensor. But she had two fuel systems, and one was in closed loop, and the other one was in open loop with a fault. And that helped me sort of fix my software, by the way. I don't know if I have a video of that. I should. I don't know. I'll look around and make a video of it. Anyway, so the fuel system is important, right? You need to know if you're in open loop and closed loop. And what's interesting is you'll notice if you like do a hard acceleration and decelerate it, it'll go into open loop for a second. But that's like a legit open loop. It's like a drive time open loop. Whatever. So that was important to fix. So if you have a Toyota or some car with maybe even there's up to 4 banks. I don't have an experimental car that has 4 banks of, not 4 banks, 4 fuel systems. So you could, whatever. I don't know. I got to be careful before I start making stuff up. You know, when you do this stuff, there's some stuff you know for sure, and then there's some stuff you make up. So I have to be careful not to be like saying things that I'm making up. Because you observe things and then you draw conclusions, and that makes it even harder because you may not even be lying. You may be just trying to tell the truth. But so, you know, you're going to have to just kind of read through my nonsense here. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so, and, you know, I tried to harden up the app. So, like, when it's running, I try to mess it up, like doing my testing. I would hope you guys wouldn't do this to the app, but you know, like, I'll just sit here like this, like, you know, trying to lock it up and break it and, you know, trying to just do stuff to make it, you know. And there's things you'll find in the old version, like if you hit pause and then go back, something weird happens. There's a lot of places where weird stuff happens. Like if you minimize it like this and then turn it back on, weird stuff happens. There was all kinds of, like, you know, I know I don't talk to you guys. You know, the app is like, I have to decide if I'm going to try to make some kind of full-fledged thing. I mean, people have talked about break service and stuff, but to do that legitimately, I have to basically join a club. I can't talk about, of course I can talk about it, but you have to join a thing, and then you're going to have to lay out like 10 grand, and then you're going to have to sign documents, and then you're never going to be able to say this specifically is this because it's all proprietary information. You're inside, and that's it. You're locked in. You're inside of the walls of the system, as it were, right? So I don't know. I don't know where the creator of the universe is bringing me. Not the universe, but the freaking creator of the freaking universe. Freaking people. Oh, the universe told me. Oh, yeah, the rock told me. Yeah, okay. Imagine if you painted a painting, right? Like an awesome painting, and put it on the wall, and people walked up to the painting and they were like, "Oh, the painting is talking to me," without any regard for you, the person who freaking drew the painting or painted or whatever. It's a painting, so it's painted, right? It's not drawn. Right? So you're there. You're just like there, standing there, like, you know, watching, and people are like, "Oh, the painting gives me life," and never a mention of the freaking creator of the painting. All right, what? All right, let me not digress. Let me calm down and relax. Anyway, so that's my app. That was my philosophy for the day. This setup, I think I like better. It's more like sort of just simple. We don't have those tabs. You know, you can see you can change the metrics from different places, and in the freeze frame you can also change it there. I didn't pull any wires out. I could have done anything. I could have jumped off a building, but I didn't. So I didn't pull out the wires either, but to show you the freeze frame. But I did definitely test it. So I feel, no, you know what? I feel good, but that, I probably just cursed everything by saying that. Oh God. Anyway. Yeah, that's, yeah, right? When you ever, I never forget when I was like 21 or something, I was driving a Honda. It was a Honda Prelude. It was a nice version of a Honda. It was used and everything. It was a little beat up, but it was a nice version of it. And it was a great car. But of course, I was a moron at the time. I mean, but at 21, I was a complete moron idiot. Change oil? What? The oil came with the car. Right? No, I'm not kidding, man. I was super stupid. And I remember driving down the turnpike thinking to myself, this is a great car. And like 3 seconds later, whatever, threw a rod and, dropped whatever. Something seized up because it was just abused by a fool. So it's like you got to be careful. It's the moment that you think you're in good shape, that's when you should start worrying, because we never worry about the right freaking thing. Oh, I'm worried about my car getting into an accident. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, what's that cough, right? Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, that's it. So it's just an update on the software, some nonsense from me. Thank you very much for coming by. I don't even know what this channel's about. I don't know what this software is. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. Okay, that's enough. Have a great day, and I'll yeah. The version, the SE version, is available below. Crap! I just spilt. Thank God it was only water, but I spilt it all over the place. All right, I'll catch you guys around and rebounding while I clean up. All right, take it easy. Let me get out of here. Stop.